Cold metal pressed against Alex Reed's back as he opened his eyes. The air smelled like iron and dust, and strange blue lights flickered on the ceiling. His head pounded, his mouth was dry, and for a moment, he couldn't remember where he was. He tried to move, but chains rattled around his wrists. When he looked down, he saw his medic uniform torn and burned, his hands covered in dried blood, his own and maybe someone else's. "Where am I?" he whispered, his voice echoing through the empty room. A low humming noise came from outside the metal door, followed by heavy footsteps. Then a sharp voice spoke in a language he didn't understand, metallic and cruel. The door slid open with a hiss. 3 tall aliens stepped in, their skin blue and smooth like glass, their eyes black and without pupils. They wore armor that shimmered with green light and carried strange long weapons that buzzed like angry insects. One of them looked at Alex and made a sound like laughter. "He's still alive," it said, this time in broken English. The second one tilted its head. "The human medic." "The weak one." "Toss him in with the beast." Alex's stomach turned. "Wait, what beast?" he shouted, but they didn't answer. They grabbed his arms and dragged him out of the small room. The hallway was long and cold, lined with other locked doors. Behind some, he heard screams. Others had silence. The kind of silence that meant there was no one left to scream. The aliens pushed him down metal stairs and into a large chamber. There, in the center, was a giant circular cage made of glowing bars. The light from it hurt his eyes. The air grew heavy, hot, and filled with a strange smell, like burned stone and sulfur. From inside the cage came a deep rumble. It was not a machine, not a growl, but something alive. Alex froze. He couldn't see clearly through the light, but he saw movement, something big shifting in the darkness. Then 2 enormous amber eyes opened. Glowing like molten gold, they blinked once, slowly, staring straight at him. The guards unlocked the cage and laughed. One of them shoved Alex hard, and he fell forward, rolling on the floor. The door shut behind him with a heavy click. The light dimmed, and he was inside the cell with whatever was breathing in the dark. He tried to crawl back, but the door was already sealed. From the corner, the sound of chains scraping against stone echoed, then a voice, deep, rough, and filled with anger, then spoke. "Another one? They never stop throwing you in here." Alex froze. The voice didn't sound human, but it spoke English through some kind of translator that crackled with static. "I'm not here to fight," Alex said quickly. Holding up his hands, the shadow moved closer, and finally, he saw it, a creature that looked part dragon, part alien nightmare, scales dark as midnight, each one reflecting faint blue light, a long snout, sharp teeth, wings folded against its massive body, but its right side was bleeding. Deep cuts and metal spikes were driven between its scales, glowing with faint green poison. The dragon, or whatever it was, growled low, "Stay away, little human. They put poison in these spikes. You touch it, you die too." Alex's heart raced, but his medic instincts were stronger than his fear. He took a slow step forward. "I'm a medic. I can help." The creature tilted its head, one golden eye watching him carefully. "You can help? You don't even know what I am," it said, its voice filled with bitterness. "I don't care what you are," Alex replied quietly. "You're bleeding. Let me try." He reached into the small bag still tied to his waist, the only thing the aliens hadn't taken. Inside were a few medical tools, some bandages and a small vial of antiseptic. He walked closer, step by step, until he stood near the dragon's wounded side. The creature growled again but didn't stop him. Alex touched the wound, and the skin burned hot, too hot for any living thing. He used his instruments to remove one of the metal spikes. The dragon hissed in pain, flames flickering between its sharp teeth. But it didn't attack. "Sorry," Alex said. "Just one more." He worked slowly, carefully, until all 3 spikes were removed. He poured antiseptic over the open wounds, the liquid sizzling as it touched alien blood. The smell was sharp, burning, but the bleeding began to stop. The dragon let out a long, shaking breath. "You are not like the others," it said softly. "They scream, they run, they curse me. But you stay." Alex smiled weakly, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I've seen worse," he said. Though his hands were trembling, the creature tilted its massive head down, so its golden eyes were level with Alex's. "My name," it rumbled, "is Karath." Alex nodded. "I'm Alex Reed, human, medic." Karath gave a deep growl that sounded almost like laughter. "Human. medic, brave, or foolish. Alex sat down beside the wall. Exhausted, maybe both, he said quietly. They sat in silence for a while. The only sound was the low hum of the electric bars outside. Alex looked up, wondering if anyone from his crew had survived. Karath broke the silence. You should rest. They will come again soon. Who? Alex asked. The Watchers. They always come to see if the beast has eaten, Karath said darkly. Alex's stomach dropped. So that's why they threw me in here. Yes, Karath replied, but not tonight. I'm tired. You are safe, and for now. Alex leaned his head back against the cold wall. He watched the faint light shimmer off Karath's scales. The alien dragon's breathing slowed like the deep rumble of thunder far away. Alex whispered to himself, I don't know what's going on, but I won't die here. The camera would slowly pull away, showing the small human and the massive dragon sharing the same dark cell. Outside, alien guards laughed in the hallway. None of them realized that the bond forming between the human medic and the wounded dragon would soon shake the galaxy. When Alex woke again, the dim blue light of the cell was gone now. Only a faint red glow shimmered from the metal floor. Karath was already awake, his eyes half open, watching the doorway like a silent mountain waiting for a storm. Alex sat up slowly, his muscles aching, his throat dry for a moment. He forgot where he was then until he saw the dragon's long tail move slightly in the shadows. You're alive, Karath said in a low rumble, his translator crackling as he spoke. Barely, Alex muttered, stretching his arms. Do they always keep it this cold? Karath huffed smoke through his nostrils. Cold for you.
Hot for them.
It is how they like to break us both. Alex rubbed his eyes, still trying to understand this nightmare. He remembered the attack on his medical ship, how alien fighters had surrounded them. He remembered trying to help the wounded crew when a bright beam hit their engine. And now here he was, trapped with a dragon who spoke like a soldier and bled like a friend. Karath's wounds glowed faintly green under the scales. Alex frowned. That poison is still spreading. I told you to leave it, Karath growled. But his voice was weaker now. Yeah, well, I'm not good at leaving people to die, Alex replied quietly. He pulled out what little he had left in his medic pouch. A small scanner, some cloth, and 2 vials of biogel. Karath tilted his head. Your kind fights without claws. Without fire, without wings, he said. And yet you heal even your enemies, Alex smirked. Maybe that's why we're still around. He pressed the scanner to Karath's wound. A soft blue light scanned the tissue. Your blood is incredible, Alex whispered, amazed. It's rebuilding itself, like it's alive in more ways than one. Karath's golden eyes narrowed. It is not blood. It is flame, Alex didn't understand. But he didn't need to, he just worked, cleaning, sealing, and injecting the gel into the deeper cuts. The dragon flinched with each touch but didn't stop him. When Alex finished, his hands were shaking, but the green glow had started to fade. Karath exhaled slowly, the sound like thunder rolling across a mountain. You risk your life for a creature you just met, Karath said softly. Alex leaned against the wall, exhausted. You risked yours by not eating me, so I'd say we're even. The dragon let out a deep, rumbling laugh, his teeth flashing in the dim red light. For a moment, the cell didn't feel like a prison anymore. It felt like the beginning of something that neither of them understood. Then suddenly the metal door hissed open. 2 alien guards entered, dragging another prisoner, a small, gray creature with trembling arms. They threw it into the corner and shouted something harsh in their language. Karath's tail twitched, his nostrils flaring. Do not move, he whispered to Alex. They are testing us, Alex froze. The aliens stayed outside, watching through the bars, laughing quietly. The little creature looked terrified. Staring at Karath with wide black eyes, one of the guards shouted, Eat! Beast eats the weak! Karath didn't move. Instead, he turned his head and looked at Alex. Alex shook his head, whispering, Don't give them what they want, the guards shouted again, hitting the electric controls. The cell filled with sharp pain as blue energy crackled over Karath's body. He roared in agony, his wings flaring open, his claws tearing into the floor. Alex ran forward without thinking, placing his hands on Karath's chest. Stop! Stop hurting him! He shouted. Something strange happened then. A bright light burst from Alex's hands, a blue, pure wave that spread through the air like a living pulse. The energy slammed into the bars, shocking the guards outside. Their armor sparked, and one of them fell backward, screaming. The other shouted in fear and hit the alarm. Karath looked down at Alex, his eyes wide. What? What did you do? Alex stared at his hands, glowing faintly blue. I don't know, he whispered. The light slowly faded, leaving the cell in silence. Karath's translator crackled again. You carry the flame, he said in awe. You are not just human. You are starborn. Alex frowned. Starborn? What does that even mean? Karath didn't answer right away, his voice low and reverent. It means the galaxy will fear you outside. The alarms grew louder. Red lights flashed across the hallway, and mechanical voices shouted orders. Karath moved closer to Alex, lowering his massive head. Listen, human medic. They will come for you now. They fear what you can do. Alex clenched his fists, his heart pounding. Then we'll escape before they do. Karath studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. You are small, fragile, foolish, he said with a growl that almost sounded like respect. But perhaps not weak. Alex managed a shaky grin. I'll take that as a compliment. The small gray creature in the corner whispered something. Alex turned to it, surprised. You can talk? It nodded quickly. Help coming. Soon, Alex frowned. Who's coming? But before the creature could answer, the floor beneath them began to vibrate. Heavy footsteps echoed in the distance. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Karath looked at the ceiling, his eyes glowing brighter than before. They send hunters, he said, and they will not show mercy. Alex picked up a broken piece of metal from the floor, his only weapon. Then let them come, he said. The dragon's wings opened slowly, filling the cell with shadows. Brave words. Little human, Karath said. Let us see if your flame burns true. The sound of footsteps grew louder. The storm was coming. But this time Alex wasn't just a prisoner. He was something new, something dangerous. And for the first time Karath smiled, a real, wild smile that promised war. Outside, the alarms wailed across the alien fortress. Inside the cell, a human and a dragon stood side by side, ready to face whatever came next. The alarms screamed like angry spirits through the alien fortress. The ground trembled under Alex's feet as red lights flashed across the walls. Karath's golden eyes burned in the dark cell, reflecting fear and fire at the same time. Stay close, the dragon growled, his deep voice echoing against the metal. They come for us. Alex grabbed a metal pipe from the corner, his only weapon, his hand still shaking from the strange blue light he had created earlier. Outside, heavy footsteps approached, followed by the clatter of weapons. The cell door hissed open, flooding the room with bright white light. Dozens of armored guards pointed their glowing spears inside. A tall alien stepped forward, his armor shining with red crystals. His face was sharp and proud, his eyes dark and filled with cruelty. You, he said, pointing at Alex, and your beast. The masters wish to see how long you will last in the arena. Karath's tail lashed against the floor, his claws sparking against the metal. They want blood, the dragon muttered. They will have none. But the guards pressed electric rods against his scales, shocking him with waves of blue energy. Karath roared, the sound shaking the walls. But he could not fight back. Alex shouted, Stop! He's hurt! But they ignored him. One guard struck Alex across the face, sending him to the ground. His vision blurred, and before he could move, metal cuffs locked around his wrists. They dragged both the dragon and the human through long hallways filled with noise. Alien voices chanted in excitement, and the smell of smoke and iron filled the air. When the doors finally opened, Alex's breath caught in his throat. They had entered a massive open arena. It was like a coliseum from ancient Earth. But much bigger, the walls stretched high into the sky, covered with glowing symbols. Thousands of aliens filled the seats, screaming and clapping with strange metallic voices. The floor beneath them was made of black sand that shimmered with hidden lights. Cages opened around the arena, releasing creatures with claws, horns, and burning eyes. Alex felt his stomach twist. They're not making us fight each other, are they? Karath's growl was low and dark. No, they are making us fight them. A booming voice echoed from above. A massive alien figure stood on a raised platform. He was taller than any of the guards, wearing a long black robe that glowed with red veins. He raised his arm and the crowd went silent. In the name of the Jakor Dominion, he shouted, we bring you the rarest of prey, the human from the lost world, and the cursed dragon who defied our rule. The crowd erupted into wild cheers, stamping their feet. Alex's heart pounded, but Karath lowered his head near him, whispering, "Do not fear, little healer. When I move, you move." A loud horn blew, and the cages burst open. 3 alien beasts charged forward, tall, black-skinned monsters with blades for arms. Their mouths dripped with acid and their eyes glowed white. Karath roared and breathed a wall of fire, the flames scorching across the sand. The beast screeched and leapt through the flames. Alex ducked under one as it swung at him, rolling away and stabbing upward with his pipe. The metal bent uselessly against the creature's skin. But it bought him a second. Karath slammed one beast with his tail, sending it flying into the wall. Another jumped on his back. Digging its claws into his wings, the dragon howled, twisting violently and smashing it into the ground. Alex saw a fallen guard nearby. His weapon, still buzzing with energy, he ran for it, dodging claws and acid, and grabbed the glowing spear. It hummed in his hands, heavy and alive. He spun around and drove it through the chest of a charging beast. The monster shrieked and exploded into dust. The crowd gasped. A human had killed one of their gladiators. The tall alien commander leaned forward on his throne, his eyes narrowing. "This human is not ordinary," he hissed to his guards. Alex's hands glowed faintly blue again as he held the weapon, the same strange power from before sparking under his skin. Karath saw it too, his voice thundering through the arena. "The star flame, it returns." The aliens began to shout in confusion. The energy inside Alex grew stronger, wrapping his body in a faint light. He didn't know how to control it. But when one of the beasts leapt toward him, the energy burst outward like a wave. The creature froze midair, crushed by invisible force, and fell motionless. The crowd fell silent, thousands of alien eyes watching in disbelief. Alex's chest heaved, his vision flickering. What is happening to me?" he gasped. Karath stepped closer, lowering his head beside him. "You carry the power of the Starborn, the ones who came before, who could bend light and flame." "I'm just a medic," Alex said, shaking his head. Karath's voice was deep and calm now. "Not anymore." From above, the commander shouted, "Capture them! Do not let the human escape!" Dozens of guards rushed into the arena. Karath turned toward Alex. "Hold on to my scales." Alex climbed onto his back, gripping tightly as the dragon spread his wings. With a single mighty roar, Karath leapt into the air, his wings smashing through the energy shields. The guards fired their weapons, bolts of plasma streaking past them. Karath spun through the fire, diving toward the open gate. Alex clung on, shouting, "Oh, go, go!" They burst through the gates as explosions lit up the walls behind them. The dragon flew through narrow tunnels, his wings barely fitting. The alarms echoed again, angrier, louder. Karath gritted his teeth. "They will not stop." "But now they fear you." Alex looked down at his glowing hands, still trembling with power. "Good," he said softly. "Let them fear what they created." As they broke out into the night sky, stars spread before them, endless and free. The alien fortress shrank behind them. Burning like a dying sun, Karath roared into the darkness, his voice filled with victory and pain. And the human medic, who once healed the wounded, now held the spark that could change the fate of worlds. The night sky burned with fire as Karath and Alex soared away from the arena. Flames rose from the alien fortress, and the sound of alarms echoed through the valley below. Blinding beams of red light shot upward from the towers, searching the black sky like angry eyes. Karath's great wings cut through the clouds, his scales glowing faintly under the moonlight of the alien world. Alex clung to the dragon's neck, his hands still glowing faintly blue. His heart racing. "They're chasing us," Alex shouted, his voice nearly lost in the wind. Karath turned his head slightly, smoke curling from his nostrils. "I can feel them," he growled. "Their ships follow, hungry for vengeance." Far behind, alien cruisers lifted into the air, their engines screaming. Bolts of plasma streaked past them, lighting up the night like shooting stars. Karath dove low through a canyon filled with fog, his wings folding close to his body. The alien blast struck the cliffs around them, showering sparks of molten stone. Alex coughed through the smoke. "We won't make it far if we stay on this planet." Karath's golden eyes glowed. "Then we must find the stars." He flapped his wings once more, bursting out of the canyon and into open sky. Before them stood a massive hangar. Half buried in the rock, an alien outpost. Alex pointed. "There! That place, and they must have ships." Karath roared in agreement and crashed down beside the structure, his claws tearing through steel. Guards rushed out, firing energy bolts, but Karath's fire swept across them like a storm. Alex jumped off and ran to the hangar doors, searching desperately for controls inside. Rows of alien fighters gleamed under cold white lights. He found a small transport ship near the back, old but still powered. Karath tore open the doors with one swipe of his claw. "Go inside," he said. "I will follow." Alex scrambled into the cockpit, pressing every button he could find. The ship hummed, its systems flickering alive, screens lighting up in strange alien symbols. He didn't understand the language, but the controls felt familiar enough. He pushed a lever forward, and the engines rumbled. "Karath, hurry!" he shouted. The dragon folded his wings tight and squeezed his massive body through the hangar doors, his tail barely fitting. As soon as the dragon's claws touched the floor, Alex slammed the ignition. The ship lifted off, shaking violently. Karath's deep voice echoed through the hull. "They come again!" Alex glanced at the radar. Dozens of red dots closing in fast. He pulled hard on the controls, the small ship bursting out of the hangar and into the dark sky. Beams of light chased them, streaking through the clouds. The alien cruisers followed, their cannons firing streams of plasma. Alex twisted the controls, spinning the ship sharply through debris and cloud cover. Karath braced himself against the hull, growling as the ship trembled under the pressure. One blast grazed the wing, sending sparks across the cockpit. Alex shouted, "Hold on!" and slammed another lever. The ship's engines flared blue, throwing them into space with a flash of light. For a long moment there was silence, only the faint hum of the engines and Alex's breathing. He looked out the window. Stars stretched endlessly before them, cold and beautiful. Karath's head lowered beside him, his golden eyes reflecting the distant suns. "You did it, human," the dragon said quietly. "You found the stars," Alex exhaled, leaning back in the chair. "Barely," he said. His hands were trembling, the faint blue light fading from his skin. "What was that power back there?" he asked softly. Karath watched him for a long time before answering. "It is the flame of the Starborn, a power older than your species," he said. "Long ago, humans and dragons shared the same light, but your kind forgot it, buried it in time," Alex frowned. "You mean humans had this power before?" Karath nodded slowly. "Yes, and the Jakor destroyed those who carried it." Alex stared at his hands, remembering the energy that burst from his palms. "It didn't feel like power," he said. "It felt like life." Karath gave a low growl of agreement. "Because it is. It heals, it protects, and it burns those who enslave." Suddenly, a warning light flashed on the dashboard. Alex leaned forward. "They're tracking us again." Karath lifted his head, eyes narrowing. "Then we find a place they cannot reach." He looked out the window, his gaze fixed on a cluster of faint blue stars. "There," he said, "that world, Velora. The home of my ancestors." Alex typed coordinates into the control system. The engines whined as the ship turned toward the distant glow. Behind them, flashes of light marked the arrival of more alien ships. Alex pushed the throttle, the stars stretching into long white lines as they jumped to faster-than-light speed. Inside the ship, silence returned, heavy, but peaceful. Alex leaned back, breathing slowly. "Velora," he whispered. Karath nodded. "It is where the last of my kind hides. Will they help us?" Alex asked. "They will not help me," Karath said, his voice low. "I was exiled for defying the Dominion. But they might help you, Starborn." Alex looked out into the dark sea of stars. His reflection faint on the glass, he still couldn't believe it. One day a medic on a ship, the next flying through space beside a dragon, but beneath his fear something inside him had awakened, something that whispered of destiny, of fire and of freedom. Hours later, the ship began to shake again. Karath lifted his head. "We are close." Through the window, a bright blue planet appeared, covered in clouds that shimmered like silver. Velora. Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest. He didn't know why, but the planet felt familiar, almost like home. As the ship descended through the clouds, glowing lights appeared on the surface, massive temples, mountain caves, and rivers of blue flame. Karath's voice softened. "We returned to where the first fire was born." Alex placed his hand on the window, whispering, "Then maybe we can start something new." The dragon's eyes gleamed. "Yes, human. A new beginning, or the start of a war." The small alien ship broke through the silver clouds and glided toward the glowing blue planet. Below, the surface shimmered like glass, rivers of light winding between dark mountains. The air sparkled with faint energy, and floating stones drifted slowly in the sky. Alex stared out the window, speechless. "I've never seen anything like this," he whispered. Karath's golden eyes softened. "This is Velora, the hidden world of my kind." As they descended, the ship trembled, its controls flickering. The closer they got, the heavier the air felt, as if the planet itself was alive. Karath muttered something in his own language, a sound deep and ancient. The ship responded instantly. Stabilizing, Alex frowned. "What did you just do?" "I asked permission," Karath said simply. "Velora remembers her children. She does not welcome strangers easily." The ship landed on a wide platform carved into the side of a glowing mountain. Blue mist rolled across the ground, and strange symbols shone faintly in the stone. Alex stepped out slowly, the air warm and heavy with the scent of metal and ash. Above them, enormous towers rose into the clouds, shaped like giant wings from the shadows. Shapes began to move, large, graceful and powerful dragons, dozens of them, their scales reflecting every shade of blue and silver. Their eyes burned like suns, and their wings made the air vibrate when they moved. Karath lowered his head slightly, not in fear but respect. One of the dragons stepped forward, taller and broader than Karath, her scales glowing with silver fire. Her voice was calm, but sharp as steel. "You dare return, Karath the Exiled?" Alex felt the air tighten around him. Karath bowed his head. "I return not for myself, Elder Serath. I bring one who carries the flame," the dragons murmured. Their voices like thunder underwater. Serath's golden eyes turned toward Alex. She studied him quietly, then spoke. "A human," she said softly. "They still exist." Alex swallowed hard, his voice trembling. "I mean no harm." "I don't even understand what's happening." Karath stepped forward, his deep voice echoing. "He carries the star flame. I saw it with my own eyes. He faced the Dominion's beast and lived." The dragons moved closer, their claws scraping softly against the stone. Serath tilted her head. "If that is true, he may be the one the old songs spoke of." Alex blinked. "Old songs?" Serath nodded, her voice now calm and distant. "Long before your species forgot the stars, there was a bond between humans and dragons. You healed our wounds. We guarded your skies. Together we forged peace from war until the Dominion rose." Her eyes darkened. "They feared the starborn, those with light in their blood, and they hunted them to extinction." Alex felt a chill run through him. "So that's why the aliens wanted me dead," he said quietly. Karath's tail flicked behind him. "They fear what you can become." Serath lowered her head closer to Alex, her eyes glowing bright. "Then we must see if you are truly one of them." The dragons formed a circle. Surrounding Alex, blue fire rose from the ground, wrapping him in a ring of light. The air hummed with energy, and Alex's heart began to pound. Karath stepped back, watching silently. Serath spoke in an ancient tongue, her voice echoing across the mountain. The flames flared higher, and then suddenly they turned white. Alex gasped as energy surged through his body. He saw flashes of memory, not his own, but ancient visions. Humans standing beside dragons, fighting side by side under twin suns. A woman with glowing hands healing a dragon's wounded wing, and then darkness and fire, war and betrayal. When the light faded, Alex collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. Serath's eyes were wide with awe. "The flame accepts him," she said softly. "The bond has returned." Karath moved to his side, lowering his head. "You see now? He is not a weapon. He is hope." But Serath's voice grew cold again. "Hope is dangerous, Karath. You remember what hope cost us." Karath's claws dug into the stone. "I remember, but I will not hide while the Dominion burns the stars." Alex looked between them, still catching his breath. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. Serath turned to him, her wings folding. "If the flame truly lives in you, then you must awaken it. Velora can teach you, but once you leave, there will be no return. The Dominion will come, and you will be hunted across every world." Alex met her gaze. Fear in his eyes, but also something stronger. "I've already been hunted," he said quietly. "I'm done running." Serath stared at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Then let it begin," she said. Karath exhaled deeply, the sound like a sigh of relief. The dragons spread their wings, and the blue fire around Alex shifted into a spiral of light. He felt warmth fill his chest, a strange calm inside his fear. It was as if the planet itself was breathing through him. When the light faded, his hands glowed faintly again. Not wild like before, but controlled, steady. He raised one hand, and the air shimmered. A small sphere of blue energy floated above his palm. Karath watched with pride. "You are learning." Alex smiled faintly. "Feels like I'm remembering." Sarath turned away, looking toward the distant stars. "The Dominion will sense the flame soon," she said. "Their ships will come. When they do, you must choose. Hide here and live, or rise and fight." Alex stood, still holding the sphere of light. His voice was steady now, stronger. "I didn't come this far to hide." Karath's wings stretched wide. The wind sweeping across the mountain. "Then prepare, Starborn," he said. "The galaxy will soon know your name." As night fell over Velora, the dragons took flight above the glowing mountains. Their wings shone like fire against the darkness. And in the center of it all stood one human, hands glowing with ancient light, the first Starborn in 1,000 years, ready to awaken the fire of a forgotten war. The twin moons of Velora hung high in the violet sky as the dragons circled above the mountains. Their wings shimmered like burning metal, and their roars rolled across the valleys. Alex stood on a high cliff, the wind whipping through his torn uniform. His hands glowed faintly blue as he tried to control the energy flowing inside him. Every heartbeat felt like thunder in his chest. "Focus," Karath said, his deep voice rumbling through the ground. "Do not fight the flame. Listen to it." Alex closed his eyes. Breathing slowly, he pictured the warmth inside him as a small fire, steady and alive. When he opened his hands, two thin streams of blue light floated above his palms. They swirled and joined into one glowing sphere. He smiled faintly. "I think I'm getting it." Karath tilted his head. "You are not getting it, human. You are becoming it." Alex laughed softly. "Is that your way of saying I'm improving?" The dragon snorted, a puff of smoke curling from his nostrils. "Barely." But there was pride in his eyes, the kind he tried to hide. Days turned into weeks. Alex trained under the dragon's watchful eyes, learning to heal with energy, to shield against attacks, and to bend light like armor. At first, the power burned him from the inside. He would collapse after every lesson, his hands shaking, his vision swimming. But every time he fell, he stood again, stronger than before. Karath stayed by his side, guarding him, guiding him, sometimes scolding him. "You are too human," the dragon often said. "You think before you act. The flame does not think, it feels. And if I feel wrong?" Alex asked once, exhausted. Karath looked down at him, his golden eyes glowing faintly. "Then the flame will teach you why." While Alex trained, Velora changed. Dragons flew again in open skies, no longer hiding in their caves. Small camps of other species began to appear across the planet. Escaped slaves, exiled warriors, and rebels who had fled the Jakor Dominion. They had heard rumors of a starborn human and came seeking hope. One evening, as Alex practiced near the cliffs, a group of strange figures arrived. They were humanoid, but with pale silver skin and glowing eyes. Their leader, a woman named Rin, stepped forward. "We came to fight," she said simply. "The Dominion took our worlds. We heard the flame has returned." Alex lowered his hands, unsure. "I'm no leader," he said. "I'm just trying to survive." Rin smiled faintly. "Then survive with us. Teach us what you know. That will be enough soon." The mountain valley became alive with movement. Dragons trained warriors, teaching them to fly gliders built from their old armor. Alex taught healing and defense, showing them how to channel energy through their suits and weapons. For the first time in generations, the people of the galaxy worked together. Humans, dragons, and alien rebels united under the same fire. At night, they gathered around the ancient blue flame of Velora. Karath would tell stories of the old wars, of humans and dragons fighting side by side before the Dominion's rise. Alex listened, feeling something awaken inside him. Pride, anger, and hope all at once. He realized the flame wasn't just power, it was memory. It carried the voices of those who had fought before him. But peace never lasted long. One night, as the camp rested, the sky split open with light. Jakor ships appeared in orbit, black and massive, their engines glowing red. Alarms rang across the valley. Karath's roar shook the mountains. They have found us! Alex ran to the edge of the cliff and saw dozens of fireballs descending, drop pods full of Dominion soldiers. The invasion had begun. Rin shouted commands. Get everyone to cover! Dragons take the skies! Karath turned to Alex. You wanted to stop running and then fight. Alex clenched his fists, the flame in his chest burning brighter than ever. The first wave of soldiers landed, their armor shining with red crystal plates. They marched forward in perfect formation, firing bolts of plasma into the valley. Dragons swooped down, breathing torrents of fire. Scattering the enemy ranks, Alex raised his hands, blue light flashing across his fingers. A wall of energy formed in front of the rebels. Deflecting the plasma blast, the soldiers tried to push through, but their weapons melted against the barrier. Karath landed beside him, roaring fire over the enemy lines. Alex shouted, Push forward! The rebels charged behind the dragons, their battle cries echoing through the mountains. The fight was fierce and endless. Alex moved between the wounded, healing burns and wounds with his glowing hands. Every time someone fell, he felt their pain in his chest. He could sense the life energy flickering like weak fire, and he refused to let it go out. Karath fought like a storm, flames bursting from his wings, claws slicing through metal. The sky burned red and blue, fire and light mixing like a living storm. Then the main Jacor ship descended, a colossal fortress with weapons large enough to destroy cities. Karath turned his head. That is their command ship. Destroy it and they fall. Alex's breath caught. How do we destroy something that big? You don't, Karath growled, lowering his body. We do. Alex climbed onto the dragon's back. Gripping the scales tightly, Karath spread his wings, smoke rising from his nostrils. Hold tight. Starborn, he said. Tonight we make the galaxy remember us. They soared into the sky, weaving through enemy fire. Alex's hands glowed brighter than ever, and a beam of blue light burst from his palms, cutting through the darkness. The Dominion ship's shield shimmered, flickering under the impact. Karath roared and unleashed his full flame, the heat so intense it turned the air into light. The sky exploded in color, blue, gold, and red. The great ship cracked apart, falling into the clouds below. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield was silent. The rebels cheered, their voices echoing through the valley. Alex slid off Karath's back. Trembling but alive, the dragon looked down at him, pride shining in his golden eyes. You see now, Karath said softly. You are no longer just a medic. Alex nodded, his hands still glowing. No, he said, looking toward the stars. I'm a soldier of the flame. The uprising had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The smoke of battle still hung over Vylora's sky. Ash drifted like falling snow, glowing faintly under the light of the twin moons. Below, the valley that had been full of life now lay quiet, scarred and broken. The air smelled of burnt metal and dragon fire. Alex stood at the edge of the cliff, his armor cracked, his hands trembling, his blue flame fading. Karath landed beside him with a heavy thud. His scales covered in dust and blood, his wings drooped, and a deep wound ran along his chest, still glowing faintly from plasma burns. You should rest, Alex said, breathing hard. You're bleeding again. Karath gave a low growl that might have been a laugh. Rest after victory. Not before, Alex smiled weakly. Then we better make sure we win. From the distance came the hum of engines. The Jacor fleet filled the sky again, dozens of warships. Blotting out the stars, the Dominion wasn't defeated yet. This was their final strike at the center of the armada. A massive dreadnought loomed, black, jagged and crowned with crimson fire. Karath's eyes narrowed. The High Commander himself. Alex's heart clenched, remembering the cold voice that once ordered him thrown into a cell. He's the one who started this, Alex said quietly. And I'm going to finish it. Down in the valley, the rebel army gathered, dragons, humans, and dozens of freed alien species. They looked up to the sky, waiting for the command. Rin approached, her armor dented, her silver eyes shining with determination. They'll hit us hard, she said, but the flame is with us now. You lead, Starborn. Alex hesitated. I never wanted to be a leader. Rin placed a hand on his shoulder. That's why you should be one. Karath lowered his massive body. It is time, Alex Reed of Earth. Alex climbed onto his back, the dragon's scales warm beneath his hands. He looked down at the army, thousands of eyes staring up at him with hope. He raised his hand and the flame flared bright blue, lighting the valley like dawn. "For freedom," he shouted, his voice echoing. "For every world they took?" The crowd roared in answer. "For freedom!" Karath spread his wings and the army moved as one. Dragons soared into the sky, their roars shaking the air. Alien ships lifted from the mountains. Joining the storm, the battle for the galaxy had begun. The Dominion fleet unleashed its fire, red beams slicing through the clouds. Explosions lit the sky like dying stars. Karath dived through the chaos. Flames streaming from his jaws, Alex raised his hands, forming a shield of blue light that shimmered around them. The blast bent away, melting before they could strike. Rebel fighters darted around the dreadnought, firing plasma bursts. Dragons tore through enemy ships, their claws slicing through steel. For every ship they destroyed, two more appeared. The sky was a storm of light and death. "Alex," Karath shouted. "The dreadnought's core is open. We must strike there." They dove through the firestorm, weaving past wreckage and burning ships. Enemy fighters locked onto them, their missiles streaking through the clouds. Alex spun, throwing out his hand. A pulse of blue energy erupted, shattering the missiles mid-air. The shockwave cleared their path straight toward the heart of the dreadnought. The massive ship's hull opened like a burning wound. Inside, a sea of molten red light, the main reactor pulsing with power. As they entered, alarms blared and a cold, familiar voice echoed through the speakers. "Human," it said. "You should have died in my cell." Alex's chest tightened. "High Commander Jacor." "Your kind are weak," the alien continued, his voice dripping with hatred. "You heal when you should destroy. You feel when you should obey. You are a mistake of the stars." Karath's roar thundered through the chamber. "The mistake that will end you," he bellowed. Energy cannons lined the walls. Firing at them, Alex raised his arms, forming a dome of blue flame around them. Each hit weakened him, the light flickering, but he held on. Karath flew closer to the glowing reactor core, fire building in his throat. Then the High Commander appeared, massive and armored in living metal. His body glowed with red lines that pulsed like veins. He stepped forward, wielding a spear made of pure plasma. "You cannot kill what rules the galaxy," he hissed. Alex dismounted, his body shaking from exhaustion. "We don't need to rule it," he said quietly. "We just need to free it," they charged. The dragon roaring, the human glowing with fire. Jacor swung his spear, sending a wave of red energy that split the floor. Karath countered with fire, the two forces colliding in a storm of heat and light. Alex dove under the blast and struck with his glowing hands. The blue flame met the commander's armor, and for a second, the metal screamed. Jacor struck back, slashing across Alex's side. Pain exploded through him, but he didn't stop. He reached deep inside, feeling the flame's heartbeat, not as power, but as life. He saw faces. Rin, Karath, the rebels. Every soul that had suffered, he let that memory burn, and the light in his chest turned white now. "Karath," he shouted. The dragon roared, unleashing his final breath. A torrent of pure golden fire. Alex joined him, sending a beam of white-blue energy straight into the reactor core. The dreadnought trembled, its walls cracking, its fire turning inward. Jacor screamed as light swallowed him whole, and then silence. The ship erupted. A burst of blue light spreading across the sky like a new sun. For a moment, all of space glowed. Bright, peaceful, endless. Karath fell through the light, his wings torn, his body smoking. Alex caught himself beside him on the burning floor. "Karath," he shouted, crawling toward him. The dragon's breath was shallow, his eyes dim. "You did it," Karath whispered, his voice soft. "The flame lives again." Alex shook his head, tears in his eyes. "No, we did it." Karath smiled faintly, his massive chest rising one last time. Then, "Let it burn forever." The dragon's eyes closed, his body turning still. The blue flame that surrounded him lifted gently into the air, swirling, dancing, and before merging with Alex's light, outside the Dominion fleet began to fall. Their power broken, their reign ended. Days later, Velora glowed brighter than ever. The rebels rebuilt their camps. Dragons soared freely across the skies. Alex stood atop the same cliff where it had all begun. He gazed at the stars, thousands of them. No longer hidden by war, Rin stepped beside him. "He would be proud," she said softly. Alex smiled faintly. "He's still with me." In every flame, the blue light flickered in his hands once more. Calm and steady, he looked toward the horizon and whispered, "The galaxy will heal." And as the twin suns of Velora rose, their light reflected in his eyes. Not the fire of war, but the first dawn of peace.